Yo, yo, yo. Good morning, good morning. Oh, I just finished doing 100 kilometers running. I'm kidding. I'm just playing. I did 1.35, but you know what? I feel fit. I feel like I did 100. Um, hey, besides, who cares? And as I was looking outside, I realized that for some reason, God decided to align the seasons in my heart with the seasons of nature this time around. As I'm looking, I see summer, the green. I feel the same for some reason. But that's not the point. The point that I'm making today is this. I want to talk a bit about replacing fear with faith. Replacing fear with faith is something I thought of as I was running 100 kilometers. I was thinking, for us who live by faith, it's almost like we've built our house on sinking sand. We boast and we go about believing, and even in our heads, that we are living our lives based on faith. Yet underneath the faith is quicksand. Every time our faith is tested, we shiver away and we fall. And I realized that this has been mainly influenced, well, at least in my case, it has been influenced by how much sand you have under the faith, if you know what I mean. How much of what I want to talk about fear do you have, or insecurity? We grow up and we come up in situations where, or we're at least exposed in situations where we are made to be insecure about ourselves. This is something that runs through our history, our forefathers, the eras that we've had in South Africa, Swaziland, where we've been oppressed to some extent and we've been made to feel like we are less of what we are supposed to be, or at least of what we are expected to be. In our homes, we are exposed to, I like talking about difficulties in our homes because there's just so many of them. Or we've been through some terrifying ordeal, abuse, or we have relationships that make us feel like we are not good enough, we're insecure, or we grew up poor, we had to strive, or we didn't have enough family or support. All of these things subject us to fear, they subject us to insecurity, they subject us to a feeling of inadequacy. And when we get into the faith, or we try to live our lives, we base all our principles and all our understanding of how life should be on quicksand, on fear, on insecurity. And because of that, every time the triggers of insecurity and fear come along, we falter and we fall. We find ourselves back in the situation where we're supposed to be. You find that someone is married, and in the marriage there's a lot of triggers of their insecurity or their fears, and because of these fears and these insecurities, the marriage will suffer, because while they believe that this is a good thing, but every time the triggers come along, they'll be shaking, and then the whole marriage will be affected. You find that now we're living in the COVID era. Most of us, even Christians, we're in fear of what this pandemic could do to us, more than us having faith, or at least walking by faith and not fearing. While we do what we've been asked to do, put on your mask, wash your hands, we shouldn't be doing that out of fear, but we should be doing that out of faith, if you know what I mean. I'm breaking it down now. I'm getting pushy all up in this house. So the idea is that we ought to be people that work on our fears. But how do we do that? I know a story of a man called Gideon. When God approached Gideon and he said, I want you to go and fight for my people. Gideon said, how do I do this? Now look at this. He approached his fears. He went to the bottom of it with God. He said, look, I'm poor. I'm from the smallest of tribes. Look, I don't have this and I don't have that. It looks like he was doubting God, which is okay sometimes, you know. We need to go there with God. So long as we're going there with Him, it's not doubt, but it's getting to the bottom of it with the help of God. You know, when you go there with God, or at least you go there to the root of your fears, confront the fears. What makes you do the things that you do now? What are the triggers? What are the things that cause the triggers? Work at that level. More especially if you work at it with God, then you are certain that the solution that will come out will bear much fruit. If we go about it that way, we have a better chance of having a more stable faith. We have a better chance of having a more stable relationship with God and with the man and people we live with. Because we've confronted our fears, we've worked at the bottom of this, and we've figured out what causes them. What causes me to want to flash out and have expensive things and go for beautiful things and beautiful women all the time? What causes me to cheat? Because there's underlying causes to all of this. Maybe you're cheating because of the incompleteness in you, or you feel like you need validation from every other girl that says yes. So when they say yes, you feel like you're more of a man, or you're more of what you're supposed to be. If you confront it at that level, you have a better chance of healing with God helping you through it, because you can't do it yourself. So the idea of replacing fear with faith is that, to get to the bottom of it. So Gideon got to the bottom of it with God. And from that bottom, God was able to hold his hand and give him the assurances that he needed to confront the war that was before him. And guess what? He beat them down. So we ought to be people that confront our fears. Let's not be superficial Christians and superficial people out there trying to make it in relationships that we know that we're not okay. If you're seeing things about yourself, triggers that come up now and again, that force you to act in a certain way that is out of the ordinary, or you see yourself behaving in a way that you shouldn't, go to the bottom of it with God, preferably with Jesus. Get him to show you these things, every one of them. Every time you realize that you have a challenge, you have a fear, you have a trigger, get there, the fears. What is it that causes you to fear so much? Take your time, go through your history, go through your background, go through the things that you've been through. Get there, the bottom, the root. Once you are at the root, then you are able to uproot. Oh, look at that, I just rhymed. So you're able to uproot everything, or at least work at it from a more comprehensive point of view. So this is my point of view. I'm signing out, T.